All right. Time for some commentary here. Fred Vasseur's contract was extended this past week before the Hungarian Grand Prix. As we said before we go to the summer break, Ferrari wanted to clear up those questions about Fred Vasseur. However, we suddenly have a seven-time world champion who's a driver you went and got and brought here. And Fred Vasseur is a friend of Lewis Hamilton's. They worked together in the lower formulas in Formula 2 before Lewis came into Formula 1. So they've had a long-standing friendship. I'm not sure Fred Vasseur is the manager Ferrari needs. You have a seven-time world champion that you're paying lots of money on. You signed. You got rid of a driver that had won races for you in Carlos Sainz. You let him go um, to bring in Lewis Hamilton. And when you do a thing like that, you're supposed to bring in, okay, he has seven world championships, one with McLaren, six with Mercedes. We need to use his knowledge. We need to use his know-how. We need his motivation, everything about him to help our team. Ferrari has done things like this in the past. It was very successful when they brought over Michael Schumacher at the end of the 95 season, for the 96 season and beyond. They won five straight world championships with Michael Schumacher, and that same chemistry won Kimi Raikkonen's championship in 2007, the last world championship Ferrari has won. They have not won a championship, a driver's title, since 2007. 2008, they did win the Constructors' Championship when Felipe Massa lost to Lewis Hamilton by oh so much in Brazil in 2008. Ferrari, however, did hang on to the Constructors' Championship. Since then, no Constructors' Championships, no drivers' titles for the Scuderia. What is going on? When you have a driver that you brought over and makes this statement, and he has made similar statements this year, and you hear him on the radio, he's arguing with his engineer on the radio, and he's just not. Since the day he got there, you could tell Lewis felt very special driving for Ferrari, but that honeymoon period has completely evaporated, and it is almost like, are we heading to an annulment? As we go into the break, what is Lewis Hamilton's thoughts? Is he thinking this was the biggest mistake of my career? He still says he loves racing and he loves driving. Would he retire from Formula One? Will he try to go to another team? What team would take him? He can't go back to Mercedes. Of course, Mercedes hasn't officially announced their drivers for next year. It is thought they're going to stay with George Russell and Kimi Antonelli now that Red Bull has simply said, yes, we're keeping Max Verstappen is staying. Max said at one point, I was never going anywhere. I was just listening to other people talk to me. So what will happen at Ferrari? What they need to have happen is the unity that Michael Schumacher brought to them many, many years ago, and turning Ferrari into a family. Michael knew every single mechanic's name. He knew their family, their wives' names, their husbands' names, their children's names. He knew birthdays. He took the team out to dinner. He was making lots of money. The mechanics don't make nearly as much money as the drivers. They're the ones working the long hours. You crack up the chassis, the driver can go home, go back to his hotel. They're there working all night on the car. Michael took care of that. But it was a family atmosphere, okay, from kind of the drivers on down. It was sort of the recoil than when Kimi Raikkonen came there. Kimi was also very friendly to everybody, but when Kimi was done for the day, he left. Okay. And that was some of the recoil on Kimi and why Ferrari kind of bought out his contract of his first stint. But they also realized the thing about Kimi, they needed to bring him back for his car development schools, but that's a different topic, different day. Ferrari needs to do this again. They need somehow to create the family here, the family atmosphere that was there when Jean Todt was team principal, Michael Schumacher was the primary driver, and Luca Di Montezemolo was the president of Ferrari. Currently, you have John Eklund, who is good friends with Fred Vasseur, and he's the one who made this statement this week about renewing Fred's contract, keeping him, he's the man for the team. But you need Ferrari. What are you doing? Listen to your driver. Listen to your seven-time world champion driver that you went out and got this year and are paying a boatload of money. Lewis is the highest paid driver this season. He's even getting paid more money in Max in some reports.